everybody. My name is Dr. Alexander Spencer. On behalf of the entire upper school, I'd like to welcome you today to our 2020 Street Leadership Ceremony. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, it might feel a little strange that we're doing this leadership ceremony here today in the fall, and that instead of being juniors, you are now seniors. But that candle of passing the torch of leadership is still important, as is the ceremony. So I hope today that you'll take the time to sit back and listen. Before we get started, I just want to provide a couple of opening remarks, and then we'll dive in. Like many of you, I started to examine the concept of leadership as a student. When I was in middle school, my father moved me to a town that was located on the Florida-Georgia border. And it was a unique experience to all of a sudden be an outsider in my own community. While I was in that community, I found it odd, but a little disconcerting that on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Sundays, I wasn't allowed to hang out with my friends. But I didn't think too much about it. Until there was a moment in 7th grade where I found myself after school in a locker room, and unfortunately found myself thrown into a locker and onto the ground as a result of some discriminatory practices. Why I tell you that story is because it was in that moment as I recovered that I began to think about that I never wanted anybody to feel the same way I did in that moment, of what it meant to be other in a place that was supposed to be home. And why that is important for me is because that's my why. Every leader today that's going to speak to you is driven by a fundamental question of why do they choose to lead? And every leader has a different perspective of what that might be. So today, as you listen to these narratives and you explore what leadership means to you, I challenge you to consider what is your why. Now, your why and how you accomplish it can certainly be unclear. For me, my family decided I was going to be the governor of Florida. And this is clearly not that platform today. But I took the time to be involved in politics. My first mentor is now currently a congresswoman. But as I grew into that role, I realized that my own traditional values didn't match up with what I was living in the political world. So the next role for me was to consider joining the United States military. When that didn't happen and I couldn't fulfill my dream of being a JAG officer, I began to ask, how could I fulfill my why of making sure that everybody had an opportunity to be seen and heard? And that's what led me into education and into my current role. So for you, take the time to consider what is your why and figure out how it drives you. Second of all, when you find yourself in leadership, you will realize that you don't always lead like-minded people. And part of being a great leader is not only knowing your why, but understanding why other people are motivated by their own beliefs and traditions. Leadership is often the art of compromise, not simply just change. So sometimes we have to look at the systems in front of us and move forward slowly, even when we decide that we really wish we could move far quicker. So as we listen and come into this election cycle and review things today, I ask you to embrace listening as much as speaking, and consider what are the whys of your colleagues, your peers, and your fellow community members here. And that today will be driven in the narratives of those that we listen to. So in conclusion, we have 3 amazing keynote speakers today, and as you hear their narratives, I again challenge you to think about what their why is, underlying their story, whether it is both verbally expressed today or existentially experienced. Our first speaker today is going to be our fabulous board president and head of the trustees, Mr. Frank Hill. Frank is a Louisville native, and he grew up in the Heights Point area and graduated from St. X High School and eventually Indiana University. After college, he returned to Louisville and began a career in financial services. Today, he is a partner in a regional wealth management center and firm and is a certified financial planner. He has 2 twin daughters. You know them both, Tate and Tori Hill, who are currently 9th graders here at Collegiate. In his spare time, he enjoys traveling with his students, reading, golf, and has a newfound interest in pickleball. Mr. Hill, the mic is yours.
Appreciate that. Well, welcome to the 2020 William Street Leadership Ceremony. This is my first ceremony that I've been a part of, but I understand it's a Louisville collegiate tradition. It actually began as a ring ceremony. But really, it's always been about passing the torch to the next rising senior class. Obviously, this year is a little different than normal. But the cause of the change certainly gives us an opportunity to reflect on the transition, and it provides us with an opportunity to reflect on leadership. As the president of the Board of Trustees, I was asked to make a few comments about leadership. But first, let me tell you a little bit about Mr. Street, whose likeness rests on the bench, looking out over the courtyard. All of you have, I know, passed by that bench many, many times, but it's likely most of you never knew or met Bill Street. He passed away in 2018. Even though he only attended kindergarten at Collegiate, he was made an honorary member of the class of 2009 at the very young age of 71 for all of his dedication and service to the school. It's for him that this ceremony was named. Mr. Street was the epitome of a good leader. He stepped up to help our school whenever he was asked. He led the school twice as president of the Board of Trustees, and he even served as the interim head of school for a few months. He led not by power or authority, but by engagement, collaboration, and kindness. A very generous man with his time and talents, his list of corporate and civic accomplishments are too numerous to list here. But Bill Street was a champion of collegiate, and he will always be held in high esteem here at the school. When people think of leaders, they often think of the great presidents from our country's past, or civil rights leaders like Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr. In fact, one of my favorite quotes comes from Dwight Eisenhower, our 34th president, who said, "A leader is not someone who barks, rise, or sit down. Leadership," he said, "is the art of getting someone else to do something that you want done because that person actually wants to do it." Well, what makes anyone want to do anything? It's inspiration that motivates people to act. Great leaders inspire us to act. Leaders, simply put, motivate people to get things done which must be done. But leadership, at least to me, was always something a little bit intimidating. I didn't come from a prominent family. I wasn't blessed with all these things that people who were leaders seem to have. So I felt, how could I possibly ever lead anyone in anything? Well, leadership comes in all shapes and sizes, and these great people did not become leaders overnight. They all took step after step to becoming great leaders. So I know that you can take those steps too. So when your time at Collegiate has come to an end, how do you leave your mark as Mr. Street has done? Will you step up and help and ask? Or better yet, before you're asked? As seniors, are you doing things positively to influence others? Can you help a struggling 8th grader find her confidence through the LCS Sisters program? Could you take time to pass your skills to the sport to lower school kids to ignite their passion for your sport? Are you presenting your best self on social media? Are you responsible with masking and social distance? All of these things exhibit leadership skills and are steps to becoming great leaders. You might not remember looking up to the juniors and the seniors when you were in the lower school, but those kids are looking up to you and watching what you do and what you say in the hallways, on the fields, and even off campus. Way more than you might ever imagine or realize. Your words and actions as leaders of the school truly do matter, and especially in a time where leadership really can save lives. So, wear your LCS letters proudly at school and in the community and represent them well. As the father of 2 freshmen and someone who takes inspiration from you, I'm so excited to see you all step into your roles as senior leaders of the school. I wish you nothing but the best. Congratulations on your success so far.
Thank you, Frank. We certainly appreciate those remarks today. Additionally, as we begin to think about other ways that we see leadership in our community, our teachers are leading every day. And this year, our faculty and staff liaison keynote speaker is going to be Ms. Megan Sharpenberger, who serves not only as the Dean of Academics, but also as a grade level dean for the 12th grade, you all, and most importantly, appear every day in her classrooms. Ms. Sharpenberger, so we'll start about that.
Titans and Amazons, class of 2021. When I was informed that I had been chosen as your speaker, admittedly, I had two thoughts. First, I was incredibly humbled. Second, I knew that it was only fitting to deliver this speech from behind this desk. This is where I've gotten to know most of you. Over the course of the last 4 years, many of you have spent ample time in room W001, sitting on top of my tables, or pulling up a chair to sit across from me and regale me with your stories. And then there was sophomore year, when you realized that sophomores really don't have a place to hang out, so you ended up in my room on more than one occasion. I can't tell you how many times I would walk in during clubs time to find 20 to 25 of you, and my response was swift: walk right back out. At the time, I admit, there were days when I thought I might lose my mind with half of your class in my room. But now, I would do anything to get that moment back. I realized that the Dr. Seuss quote in my room reflected so much of my time with each and every one of you. You never realize the value of a moment until it becomes a memory. No words have meant more in my 20 years as an educator. I've had the fortunate experience to teach and or advise most of you. There are 51 seniors. I have taught all but 4. I've taught 20 of you more than once. I've been the official advisor to 15 over the course of the last 4 years, and have been the unofficial advisor to many more. Without hesitation, I have a story or a memory for each of you, a small moment that brings me profound joy upon reflection. Something as benign as sweatpants, cheesecake, penguins, Russian history, philosophical questions, daily talks, sharks, the song Closing Time, or the senior most likely to become a dictator. And the list goes on and on. I knew from the moment we met freshman year, you were unique. Every class has a personality, and yours was palpable. Consequently, I have always held a special place in my heart for your class, and I'm honored to be your speaker today. So at last, here we are. This celebration, originally scheduled for late May, was meant to commemorate the passing of the torch to your class. The ceremony was meant for you to reflect on your previous years as a scholar and begin to set a path forward for all that you would accomplish over your senior year. I don't want to spend this brief time with you commiserating over what could or should have been, but rather focus on what is already being done and what is left to do. Let me begin by saying, the grace you have demonstrated during the last 6 months is already a testament to your invaluable leadership in this building. I want to get the elephant out of the room by saying this isn't fair. I think your teachers, administrators, family, and you all recognize that. You have been dealt a really difficult situation that is beyond your control. You have been asked to take tough decisions in a tough situation. The gradual transition from childhood to adulthood has been sped up for a great many of you. The responsibility assigned to you as both a citizen and student at Louisville Collegiate is a tall ask. However, if there ever was a senior class that could handle the current situation we find ourselves in, it is yours. Your composure, resilience, camaraderie, and humility is a clear manifestation of your unwavering character as a class. The writing was on the wall. This year would not resemble any other. And by and large, you have accepted your new reality with the coolness and collectedness that has come to define your class over the years. The manner in which you carry yourself in the halls, in the classrooms, virtually, and within the community both baffles and astounds the faculty and staff in this building. It is evident that you are grateful to be here and with one another, and that you would do your part to maintain the ability to do so. You chose to see the possibilities as opposed to holding on to the relics of the past. You've embraced overwhelming change and discarded the notions of resentment and dwelling on what could have been. Hardship has not broken you down, it has woken you up. It has become a catalyst for a reimagined version of school. Who would have thought this year would have included an entire production team, mostly composed of seniors, bringing teachers and students together for spelling bees in the park, obstacle courses, or eating hot wings in Benjamin's backyard on a Sunday afternoon. Most importantly, you have maintained a tight band of support for one another that has always surrounded your class. You might not be aware of the closeness and fellowship that has become synonymous with the class of 2021, but it has not gone unnoticed by the likes of many of us who have been keen observers of you over the years. Trust me, I know your class has had its fair share of drama, but every family does. And though some of you might not want to admit it, you are a family. With your quirks, moodiness, and occasional disagreements, there's a genuine care and reverence for one another. In the last few months, this has not abated, but rather expanded. So now that I've heaped praise on what you are doing, please hear me when I say there is still work to be done. Do not let up being who you are as a class. Continue to demonstrate to your school and the wider community that you didn't bow your head in the face of adversity, but instead revealed to the rest of us how to reshape and redefine. Use the collective power you have to see potential amidst the chaos and uncertainty. Maintain your level-headedness and teach others how it is done. Stay true to your character. Build a stronger cocoon around each other and extend it to the underclassmen. 10 years down the road, when you reflect back on this time, be proud of who you were and what you did in this moment. In essence, class of 2021, continue to be yourselves. Prove to everyone, but most importantly yourself, that you can rise above all the noise to be the best versions of yourself, despite circumstance. In closing, I want to say thank you. You have taught me so much about what a community should look and feel like over the years. Your class is the embodiment of all that I love about being a community member of Louisville Collegiate. You've become an anchor for me, especially my advisory. I honestly don't know how I will manage without them giving me such a hard time over every little thing I do next year. But I digress. The relationships I have made with so many of you have come to define me as an educator, citizen, and even as a mom, in ways you might not ever know or understand. You have taught me more than I have taught you. Most of you know I'm not the most sentimental person, but I might actually shed a tear when I see you off to your next adventure. I have always held a soft spot for your class, and I hope you know that when you leave these halls, I will always be here for each and every one of you. As Scharfenberger, Scharf, Scharfel, Mom, Megatron, Hey You, and yes, even as Megan. Thank you, and let's continue to embrace our time together, class of 2021. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Scharfenberger. As Ms. Scharfenberger mentioned in that quick video today, there have been a number of seniors who have taken on the making of collegiate cable, a new dynamic portion of our upper school experience. One of our key anchors today has been designated as our senior Consulate speaker. Not only is Nathan Curl an anchor on collegiate cable, but he is our class secretary for the senior class, a managing editor of the yearbook, and one of the leaders of the book club. So without further ado, Nathan Curl.
Hello, fellow seniors. I have been given the opportunity to speak to all of you about leadership and its importance to not only our school community, but our personal well-being. Let me start by asking you all a question. When you think of a leader, what comes to mind? The loudmouthed, bossy person who barks commands until everything gets done? The meticulous planner who considers every minute detail to avoid mistakes? Regardless of what you just pictured in your head, I'm here to tell you that there are important qualities all leaders share. Take a second to imagine having no support from anyone, friends, parents, teachers, or college counselors throughout the entire first quarter. It's safe to assume we would be struggling at least a bit more without them guiding us. Personally, I consider all of these people leaders, and although they are different, they have one thing in common. They care about us. If I can name one thing that makes our community truly special, it would be just that, the leadership we see in our daily lives. The people we see every day who demonstrate compassion and empathy are the glue that hold us together. Good leadership inspires positivity, which results in less stress, higher work ethic, and increased happiness. Given the state of our world and the stress of our academic responsibilities, it is important for us to emerge as leaders, not only for our sakes, but those of our peers. As seniors, it is our responsibility to step up and face the challenges being thrown our way. Now, more than ever, we need to lead this school with as much zeal and pride as those around us. Just like we look up to the faculty and our parents, the students of collegiate JK through 11 look up to us. The other day, I had the honor of teaching Mrs. Ewan's 5th grade class about the entertaining and action-packed Aeneid, an epic centered around the humble hero and all-star demigod Aeneas. I was amazed by how knowledgeable they were about Homer's Iliad and their ability to connect it to another epic written nearly 750 years later. Those of you who are not in Mr. Gahan's class may find yourself either confused or annoyed. But don't worry, I'm getting to my point. Anyways, I found myself shocked when Mrs. Ewan asked her 5th grade students to compare Aeneas' perilous journey of mythical monsters and godly intervention to the year 2020. However, I was even more surprised by their responses. A series of groans echoed throughout the room as I heard young voices call out how difficult this year has been for them. In that moment, I realized almost everyone, not just me, is struggling with something they have never experienced before. I walked out of that classroom feeling enlightened, having yet another example of how the importance of leadership transcends barriers, even for those younger than us. The opportunity to learn from those 5th graders was truly inspiring. We are going through a phase in our lives where a lot of us are struggling to stay afloat in a sea of tasks. Balancing school, college applications, and self-care is a daunting responsibility. This is where leadership begins to play a role. Now more than ever, our school and our world need kind, compassionate people who can help others. As I mentioned before, we are surrounded by people who care about each and every one of us. However, these people are busy just like us. They could be struggling just as much, yet their concern doesn't dwindle. Their never-ending care is exemplary of what it means to be a leader during this difficult time. Except, it doesn't have to stop with them. The best leaders have strong empathic tendencies, not just charisma or power. Everyone listening right now has the same capacity for leadership as a Trojan hero or George Washington. You just have to do what they did. Care for others. How can you show others you care? To put it simply, small actions make a huge impact. Whether it's asking someone how their day is going when you pass them in the hallway, or texting them a kind message outside of school, what may seem like a tiny gesture can make a world of difference. Ultimately, right now is a stressful time, and it may seem like there is no end in sight. But believe me, happier times are on the horizon. In the meantime, keep your head up, love yourself, and remember, good leaders never do it alone. Thank you.
Thank you, Nathan, for that message of kindness and compassion. As we move on in our official ceremony today, we have the addition of the cum laude induction by Mr. Gahan. If you don't know and you're tuning in from abroad or afar and not in the school, Mr. Gahan is our amazing dean of faculty. So Mr. Gahan, turn over this induction process to you.
Thank you, Dr. Spencer. Good morning. I have the immense pleasure today of announcing the newest inductee to Louisville Collegiate's chapter of Cum Laude. Cum Laude Society was established in 1906 to honor high school scholastic leaders, and only schools recognized as being of superior academic quality belong to the society. Fewer than 2% of high schools nationwide, and only 3 high schools in the state of Kentucky have been chartered to host Cum Laude Society chapters, with Collegiate joining in 1978. Cum Laude Society Charter allows us to induct student members of the society 2 times a year, once in the fall and others at commencements in May. Cum Laude Society recognizes academic achievements in secondary schools for the purpose of promoting excellence, vitae, justice, decay, and honor, time. In keeping with this vision, each chapter of society elects to membership faculty and students who have demonstrated not only academic excellence, but also outstanding character, honor, and integrity. The current faculty members of the collegiate chapter of the Cum Laude Society are Ms. Cindy Brundage, Ms. Molly Prince, Mr. Simon Stern, Ms. Emery Keir, myself. It is now my pleasure to induct our newest members into the Cum Laude Society. They are Alice Brennan, Grant Foley, Elizabeth Hellman, Jackson Kiefer, Molly Stevens, and Tim Sobel. In closing, I would like to say that our new inductees have met or surpassed the criteria of the honor that they have received. Let this induction ceremony serve as a reminder to us all that each and every one of you can achieve excellence if you're willing to work hard and take advantage of all that collegiate has to offer. I encourage you to take ownership of your education as your teachers and I here are to support you to help you become your absolute best. Thank you.
All right, seniors, it's time for that trip down memory lane. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the senior video. hope that you enjoyed your leadership ceremony today, and we hope that you think about what your why is and how you will best conclude this year as strong leaders for our entire school. So before you leave, on behalf of the Alumni Association, your advisors have a gift for you. Make sure that you pick that up on your way out, and we'll make sure that your teachers know that you're running a couple minutes late for class. Thank you so much. I can't wait to see you all on the lunch line later today. Have a wonderful day.